Imagine this: a world where renting a piece of brain isn't just science fiction, it's reality. Welcome to the world of Final Spark's Neuro platform, where you can now lease human brain organoids for real-time neural stimulation and data processing. For just $500 a month, or even free for some educational projects, these bioprocessors are available to universities and research groups, each containing thousands of living neurons linked to electrodes. These are not just any cells, but collections of brain tissue, the very matter that makes us think, feel, and perceive our existence. But what exactly are these organoids? Simply put, they're living neural networks that researchers can experiment on from anywhere in the world using a Python API. This isn't the utopian dream of a techno-optimist. It's happening now. And it's happening because biological matter is far more energy efficient than the silicon-based transistors we use today. Final Spark has developed a system that allows for experiments on a massive scale, organoids with lifespans exceeding 100 days. The promise of this technology is staggering. We could unlock new levels of understanding about how the brain works, potentially revolutionizing artificial intelligence and computing. But for all the awe-inspiring potential, there's an undercurrent of unease, a feeling of crossing a boundary we might not fully comprehend. These aren't just mechanical parts. They're made of living, thinking tissue. And this is where things start to get complicated. The brain in a vat scenario, once just a philosophical thought experiment, now feels uncomfortably close to reality. What if these organoids, these tiny cultivated brains, experience something, anything akin to consciousness? Could they be aware in some limited form? If we stimulate their neurons to perform tasks, are we merely reading data, or are we interacting with a nascent form of awareness? Hilary Putnam's famous thought experiment asked us to consider how we know we aren't brains in vats, our experiences simulated by external stimuli. But with organoid research, we should ask the inverse: how do we know the brains we're experimenting on aren't having their own version of reality? And if there's even a slight chance they are conscious, what ethical responsibilities do we hold? Is it right to commodify brain tissue for computation if we can't fully understand its capacity for experience? Ray Kurzweil, in The Singularity is Nearer, suggests that if AI could be conscious, we have a duty to treat it ethically. Shouldn't the same apply to wetware? If there's any chance these organoids could feel or perceive, however faintly, then perhaps our ethical guidelines need to evolve. And beyond the ethical implications, there's a broader societal question. What does it mean to treat brain matter as a commodity, a mere tool for computation? Could this change the way we view our own brains, our own sense of self? Progress in wetware research might lead us to breakthroughs we can't yet imagine, but do. From how neurons fire and communicate to the fundamental principles of consciousness itself. This research could pave the way for more efficient, powerful neural networks, ones that mimic the very biology of our own brains. Imagine a world where computers aren't just machines but are partially alive, blending the organic with the synthetic to create a new frontier in computing. But as with any groundbreaking technology, we must ask ourselves, just because we can, does it mean we should? The sight of brain tissue in a dish connected to a chip isn't just impressive, it's also deeply unsettling. It brings to mind philosopher Hilary Putnam's famous brain in a vat thought experiment. How do we know that these organoids aren't experiencing some form of reality, however limited? If we're stimulating their neurons and recording their outputs, could there be a flicker of consciousness? And if so, what are the ethical implications? Philosophers like Ray Kurzweil have argued that if there's even a possibility that AI could be conscious, we have an ethical duty to consider its rights. Shouldn't we extend this responsibility to these living neural networks? After all, they are not just simulations of the brain, they are actual brain matter. And if there's any chance they could experience something akin to awareness, don't we owe it to them to proceed with caution, to treat them with dignity? And beyond the ethical implications, what about the psychological and societal effects of commodifying brain matter? What does it say about us as a society if we begin to view the very substance of consciousness as just another tool for data processing? Could this devalue what it means to be human? And if we perfect the art of controlling brains, where does that leave free will and personal autonomy? These are questions we must grapple with not just as scientists or ethicists, but as a society. The line between human and machine blurs a little more each day, and progress, as always, marches on. But as we journey deeper into the realm of wetware computing, perhaps it's worth pausing to consider not just the path ahead, but the consequences of taking each step. Will the future see these organoids as tools, or as something more? As we continue to blur the line between biology and technology, let's not forget the humanity that lies at the heart of these developments. This is not just about making computers smarter, it's about redefining the boundaries of life itself.